I'ma just say this because ain't nobody else gonna say it. Black parents are the only people who will manipulate you on all the reasons as to why you need to live at home to save money, just to come back 2 months later and start charging you half the rent. Then when you disagree, now you broke, ungrateful, disrespectful, and you will never become anything in life because you don't listen.
Hey my people, and welcome back again to another interesting video. It's your girl Maria Davis. I thank you so much for tuning in another interesting video. In today's video, we're talking about black parents, black household, black family that usually collect rent from their child or children when they turn 18 years old. They expect you to start paying rent. They want you to start paying rent. They feel you should start paying rent when you turn a certain age because they don't want you to start living in the house for free. If you don't pay rent, they'll collect water bill, they'll collect light bill, they'll collect something. Bill, you must pay bills because you are staying with them. Did this happen to you? Let me know that in the comment section. Let us know that in the comment section. Did you eventually move out of your parents' house because they were asking for rent? And when your parents asked for rent, did they give you the freedom because, okay, now you're paying rent, you can do whatever you have to do? You guys know the way black families and black homes are very strict, right? Especially to their girls. They don't want you to have boyfriend or they want you to get married. Like, they're always very strict with their parenting and everything. So now that you're paying rent, or now that they allowed you to start paying rent, did they give you that freedom or not? Did it happen to you? Let us know in the comment section. Do you feel like this really actually happened in black homes only? This is a conversation we are having in today's video because black people are coming out to say it doesn't make sense for our parents to be charging us rent. Like, that is bad parenting. Do you think it's bad parenting or not? I have interesting videos of black people coming out to say, oh, their parent collected rent from them and they kind of express themselves and all of that. Let's watch this video together and I'll share my thoughts at the end of the video.
This may be controversial. So if you one of them weird parents, right, who charges their kids rent, right? And not like the rent where like, yo, I'm gonna charge you this, give me this every month, and then when you move out, I'm gonna give it all to you. No, I mean like asking them to pay rent because they're working and you need financial help. All right, boom. If you one of those parents, yo, you're no longer their parent. You are now their landlord. So honestly, in my opinion, you can't tell them what time to go to bed, what time to come in, curfew, none of that. It's click for that. Because what? Like, that's your tenant, bro. You train your kid like a whole tenant. You don't get the right to be a landlord and a parent at the same time. Like, no, sorry. Like, now Shorty is a young adult now because of you. So they got financial responsibilities. Yeah, and now don't claim them on your taxes no more. No, none of that. Yeah, no. This is my personal opinion. If you charging your kid rent, you failed as a parent, bro. Why is your 16-year-old, 17-year-old like being asked to pay rent? Like you failed, just like that. I don't care about like your circumstances and stuff like that. You failed. I'm sorry. But you don't get to be telling them what to do, where to do chores, watch the little kid. Like, nah, bro. Once they start financially contributing to the household, they are their own entity now. Now they are a roommate for you, bro. Leave them alone. You don't get the right to keep parenting them. And you need my help, financial help at that. You lucky they still calling you mom or dad, bro. I'd be like, Miss Jones, Mr. Jones, what the like, and then feeling entitled to like charge your kid rent. Like, you don't feel embarrassed? Like, that's not your kid no more, bro. That's your young adult. And let that young adult do whatever they want. Matter of fact, put them on the lease too.
Okay, so I want to talk about the fixation that black parents have on making their kids pay rent.
I'm glad somebody brought it up because I've been wanting to talk about this for a hot minute. I was 15 when I got my first job. I worked at Steak and Shake. I was a waitress. Now, mind you, before that, I was always a hustler. When I was 8, 9, 10 years old, I used to shovel snow for $10 a driveway. And one year, I literally paid for my own school clothes just by doing that. Always wanted my own money, always wanted to be independent. My mom didn't like that. She was very jealous of that for some reason. And I think it was the fact that I didn't need her, didn't want to come to her for anything. So when I got my first job, I was a waitress at Steak and Shake. I was making bank because look at this face. And I have a great personality. I made really good tips. My mom would not give me a ride to or from work unless I gave her gas money. Mind you, I lived in a small town. Everything was 10 minutes away from each other. You barely burned any type of gas going anywhere. And she used to make me and my brother give her $25 a week. $25 a week? I'm 15 years old. You mean to tell me all these years you never could get by without this $25 a week I was giving you? And the way she would ask for it would be like Don Corleone or like The Godfather or something. She would come to me like, "You got that $25? Like, girl, the past 15 years, you wasn't getting by without this $25? Like, why are you asking me for money? Like, you gonna starve or something if I don't give you money." I remember one time she had a cold sore on her bottom lip. So I started laughing at her when she asked me for the money. And it wasn't because I was being disrespectful. It's because I was watching the cold sore like bounce on her lip like that. But I said all that to say, I remember how that made me feel as a child. It made me feel like I was a financial burden and she didn't want to see me save up my own money and be independent and succeed. She did not once tell me she was proud of me for hustling and getting my own job. I used to have to like take the bus in the rain and the snow and the cold just because I wanted to save that little $5 that she would make me give her just for taking me back and forth to work. I feel like if your child is not one of those spoiled kids who just wants everything handed to them, you should want to help them. You should want to help them save. She didn't help me open up my own bank account. I had to do all of that on my own. And I think the young lady in the video I stitched was absolutely right. There's a fixation and a fascination and a jealousy attached to a lot of Black parents making their underage kids pay rent in a house that they've had to pay rent for the whole duration of their lives. As I hold my child right now, I could never, I would never, I will never. 2 weeks after he was born, I added him as beneficiary to all of my accounts, my high yield savings account, my life insurance, my 401ks. I'm about to open him up a 529 savings account that can roll over into a Roth if he decides to forego college. And guess what? When he gets a job, anything he makes and put in the banks, mama's gonna double it. I'm setting my baby up for life.
One thing I'll never understand is when parents try to charge their children rent, because it's just like, y'all was paying the rent before the child turned 18. So it's just like when they turn 18, now they got to pay you rent. That don't even make no sense. Like, I fell victim to that shit, and that's why I live on my own now. But it's just like, aren't you supposed to build your children up? You know what I mean? When they turn 18, they're not even physically they're not mentally an adult yet. So it's just like, for you to charge them $200, $300 as soon as they turn 18 is ridiculous, because guess what? They don't have their life together yet. And it's crazy because like a lot of parents do this as well, where they know their child is saving up to get a car because they didn't buy them a car. So then they'll hold them back from getting a car because they'll be like, "Oh, I could drop you to work. I could drop you to work, this and that." But now, since they dropped you to work, you thinking that you gonna have extra money because you don't got an Uber to and from work. But no, really, now, "Oh, I dropped you to work last week, this and that. You need to give me gas money. You need to fill up my tank, this and that all the time. And then you still gotta pay me rent." No, that's not how things work. It's like y'all was just paying the bills before they turned 18. You was paying all the bills. As soon as they turn fucking 18, now they got to pay bills or they getting kicked out. That shit don't make no sense to me. Y'all need to do better.
Just to come back 2 months later and start charging you half the rent.
I definitely understand where she's coming from, but at the same time, I can truly say that if you get the opportunity to stay with your family and you got to pay a bill or pay some type of part of the rent, it's a lot better than paying rent by yourself, especially in today's time. Like, rent is extremely high. Now, I will admit you should never have to feel manipulated by your parents in order to help them out. And I also don't believe that a parent should starve their child of financial gain. I think that you should be able to save. Because with me, man, when I tell you I'm so grateful and blessed to have had the opportunity to live with my grandmother for years, bro, she literally is the reason why I'm so successful and have as much money saved and put away because of the opportunity she gave me by living with her. And for that, I always made sure that I took care of her, whether if it was financially, no matter if it was a bill, whether if it's for groceries. If she needed anything, I made sure she was taken care of because I was not obligated or too entitled to live with her scot-free. And the thing is that I knew a lot of people that stay with their peoples, and I kid you not, these people will sit there and live with their folks and not do a damn thing. They felt so entitled. They would not bring any groceries. They would not help around the house. They would do nothing. And I'm just like, come on, G, that's not the move. Being able to stay with your parents, and I'm talking about healthy parents, not narcissistic or manipulative parents, staying with these people is almost like generational wealth. It literally will help you transform into a better you when you get the opportunity to live on your own. So for me personally, being able to live with your parents and being able to help them through the whole process helps teach you responsibility, because it sure helped me a lot. Like, I spent bread, but they never allowed me to starve. If anything, my grandmother made sure that I always had food on the table. She washed my clothes, bro. When I tell you this woman was so heaven sent, man, it was crazy. She truly allowed me to flourish, even though I was able to make sure she was good too. Because when I have children, I'm gonna make sure that they straight. But I do think that they should have the ability to help around the house and do something, because it builds responsibility. That's just me.
Black parents are the only people who will manipulate you on all the reasons as to why you need to live at home to save money, just to come back 2 months later and start charging you half the rent.
So we never charged our kids rent, but I will tell you what we did with my oldest son. When he was 24, he was living with us. He had a good job, but we started noticing that the money from his job was being spent on sneakers and clothes and whatever else. He wasn't really saving. He was 24 at the time, still young, his first real job. And we just sat him down and said, son, we know you don't want to live with us. We already know that. We can feel you want your independence. So why don't you sit down and let us help you? So we asked if we could see his paycheck stubs, and we figured out a reasonable amount where he could still enjoy his paycheck, but we would be his sort of bank. So instead of collecting rent, we just essentially took a certain percentage of his paycheck. He got paid every 2 weeks, and we just put it to the side. And he really started to value the saving aspect. He didn't really understand it prior to that, the value of saving money. So every time he got paid, he took my husband a certain percentage, gave it to him. My husband would sock it away for him, and within a year, he had enough saved up where he could get his own apartment, and he's never been back since. So he's 35 now, married on his own, so we're very proud of him.
This whole charging your child rent when they turn 18 idea that some parents have, that is ridiculous. Who came up with that? Like, I never understood it. Why are you charging your child rent when they turn 18 or when they finish high school? What's the point of that? Some people might say, oh, it's teaching them responsibility. I'm trying to show them the adult world. And it's just like, there are other ways you can do it, because charging them rent, do you know how much harder that makes it for them? Like, let's say they want to buy a house. If you're charging them rent, that's less money they have to save up that money so they can afford a down payment and closing costs. And with the housing prices nowadays, it's crucial. One of my students even asked me about this because they were talking about how they have a friend who their older brother is paying rent to their parents. And then they came and asked me about it. And, you know, I'm not here to say, oh, this parent is terrible because they're making their child pay rent. Oh, this parent shouldn't make their child pay rent, because I'm not their parent. I don't have a say in that. That's their house at the end of the day. I would never charge my child rent. The only way I would take money from my child is if we both agreed upon this, like, we're going to take this amount of money, we're going to put it into an investment account, a savings account, whatever the case may be. And then when you turn a certain age, you get a certain amount. I'm going to give it back to you so you can put a down payment, closing costs, maintenance costs, whatever you need to get your first house. That I agree with. But for you to charge your child rent, isn't the goal to get them out of your house into their own thing so they can live with their adult life and handle their responsibilities? Don't you think charging them rent, that creates a barrier for that? That's probably going to keep them in your house a little bit longer if you didn't charge them rent, especially if they got to pay their own personal bills on top of that. So parents, y'all should think about that. But I know one thing, I had a child, I would never charge my child rent when they turn 18, graduate high school, none of that. But my child's not going to leech off me. If they want to start leeching, they can pay rent at that point, or they can just get out. Because if they're not actively bettering themselves, I'm not going to tolerate that. That's the only exception I have. But y'all let me know in the comments, If you had grown adult children, would you charge them rent if they were still living at home? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and follow for more education related content like this, and I'll catch you on the next video. Peace.
Probably gonna piss a lot of people off, but if you're over the age of 21, an adult, do your parents help you out financially? I saw this thing on Instagram that said 50% of US parents are still helping out their children financially. But in the comment section, some people had their panties in a bunch. They were upset that some parents are helping out their adult children. And this is what I think about it. Please shut the fuck up. You are a parent forever. Even if you're 90 and your child is 70, you are a parent. If you are a parent and you have it financially to help your adult children out, if they're in need, why not help them out? You decided to lay on your back and make those babies who are now adults and they need financial help. And I'm not talking about the parents who don't have it financially. I'm talking about the parents who have it financially, but they want their children to struggle. I've heard a lot of parents say, oh, I want my children to struggle because if they struggle, that's the only way they're going to grow. Struggling sometimes helps you to appreciate things, but I feel like there's a thin line between struggling and suffering. Struggling and suffering are brother and sister. I feel like struggling makes you bitter. It makes you angry. It makes you want to fuck some shit up if you have to struggle your whole life. Thank God for my parents, because my parents don't do this. But I have friends who, if they borrow $20, $10 from their parents, they have to pay their parents back by next week. It's almost insane if your parents have it financially, but you still have to pay them back the $10. I feel like it's bad parenting if you have it financially and you make your adult children suffer.
Black parents make their children pay bills when they still live at home because Black parents hold their children accountable for their failed lives.
I'm from Ohio. I got two older brothers. My mom waited until they graduated high school and then went to college to move to Florida. She moved me to Florida. I think I was like 13, 14 years old. As soon as I got down there, I don't know nobody. We don't have any family down there. I wound up getting my first job at Burger King. I was like 14 and a half, 15 years old. She made me pay for her and my phone bill and half for the rent. She pretty much alienized me from everything I knew and just dropped me in a whole nother part of the country. It low-key continued until I was about 22. It was crazy. But all that to say, she was chasing a man pretty much. Still trying to be young. Dragged me with her. My life ain't turned out the best. I'm still kind of putting the pieces together from that, but none but facts.
Black parents are the only people who will manipulate you on all the reasons as to why you need to live at home to save money, just to come back 2 months later and start charging you half the rent.
I take it a step even further. It don't even start when you an adult and you try to come back home. It start when you in high school. At least for me it did. It started the minute I could legally work, bruh. And it wasn't even, I start working at 15, bruh. I gotta work, my people made me get a worker permit, and I worked at Pasados, serving goddamn chip and busting tables, bruh. Child labor laws, number one. I'm talking about the minute I could legally take my ass to work, they had me working. Then would get mad at me because they had to pick me up from work and I had to give them gas money. So the minute that by my junior year, all my friends had started getting their licenses and shit and could drive and got cars and shit. Of course, I ain't get no car. Cause my older brother, my stepbrother, he had wrecked the motherfucker that was supposed to get passed down to the next kid after the next kid. He wrecked it, doing God knows what. And then my dad was like, I ain't buying nobody no new car. Ain't nobody going up my insurance. He was one of them niggas. You couldn't get on his cell phone plan. You couldn't get on his insurance. He wasn't gonna give you no money to help you buy no car. Bruh, he didn't even help me. He didn't even teach me how to drive. I couldn't even use his car to learn how to drive. I had to use the truck I'm in now. I had my pawpaw truck. And my granny had an HHR, and she would let me drive to church. And then I used my pawpaw truck to get my license. But then my daddy wouldn't let me use his car for prom. I used my uncle's truck. But back to the fucking point. So, bruh, my mama used to make us, as soon as I had to buy all paper, mind you, I'm working at Raising Cane's making like $5.30 an hour, bruh.
I'm over here trying to work double shifts. I'm pretty sure I broke all type of child labor law to try to make extra paper. Cause the minute I could work, my mama and daddy told me I had to pay for all my own shit. School clothes, extracurriculars, goddamn, my own food, goddamn, toiletries and shit. You would have thought I had a full-time job working like, oh my God. But I had to pay for my own prom. I had to pay for my senior ring. I had to pay for my senior pictures. Any dance that I went to, I had to pay out of pocket for that shit. Had to pay for my own driver course. I got my license just for nobody to give me a car. Cause my daddy said he wasn't gonna help me get no car. They are like 95% of the reason why I gotta get the fuck up out of here. And I didn't want to go to college because I was like, I'm not about to be that, because they did it to my sister. Oh, held it up, barely paid for her college, then held it over her head. And she had to take all these loans out. All this extra. I said, I don't want y'all to be responsible for anything financially for me. No more. I took my ass to Marine Corps and I ain't never looked back. What is it with black parents making their children be full-time adults, bruh? I don't understand it. It's like they cannot wait until you're no longer a financial burden on them. As if your existence, which you didn't ask for, is you gotta pay your debt. Like y'all need help with y'all bills that goddamn bad? And last thing, for the ones that be like, well, I wouldn't make, if I did take money from my kids, I would put it in a savings account. So when that's stupid as fuck too. Stop trying to take your kids' money, bruh. Go get your own money. You're not helping them by putting it to the side for no fucking savings account. Stop it. Either make them go get the savings account and make them put an allotment out of their check, or leave it alone.
Can you share your thoughts down in the comment section? It's an interesting topic, and I feel like some people will be able to relate to this situation. Some of us cannot, especially some of us that was raised in Africa. I don't think parents will collect rent from you if you're raised in Africa. I don't think so. But one thing I know all of us can relate to is the entitlement of our parents. Most black family or black people, black parents, they are very entitled. They feel like I brought you into this world. You must actually take care of me when you get to a certain age. If you as a child, you're not taking care of your parents, you have money, or you don't even have money, like you're so rich, you're just okay for yourself, you're comfortable for yourself. They want you to take care of them. They want you to always send them monthly allowance. They want you to always be there for them. They want you to always take take good care of them. The entitlement of some parents can be very annoying. I feel like for you to be a parent, you're going to be a parent forever. Just like one of the creators said, you're going to be a parent even if your child is 70 years old and you're 90 years old. You are still a parent. You still act like a parent. You can't say, oh, there's a deadline for being a parent, or because your child has turned 18 years old or your child is now 21, they should move out and go figure out life by themselves. I feel like even if your child is 30, 40, and they've not even had their life figured out, in the sense that they don't even know what they want in life, you should be there for them financially, mentally, physically. Not that, oh, you're not a grown adult, figure things out yourself. And that is why it's so annoying, because most parents, they're just living like they're just like a regular normal parent. They don't really have much money, they're on the average level. So most of them might not even take care of their child very well, but then they expect the child to grow old and be rich. You see a normal poor family having kids back to back, and you ask them, why are you having kids? You cannot even eat proper meal in a day, right? You can't eat proper meal in a day, and they say, oh, they're having kids because one day they feel like that child will take care of them. If you as an adult, you're having kids back to back, you cannot even take care of those children. What give you assurance that your child will grow old, or when your child grow up, they'll be able to get rich and take care of you? I feel like foundation matters, and if you're as a parent, you're not even financially okay to raise kids, there is no point having kids. I always say it's not compulsory to have children. Like, you can live a child-free life and be happy, okay? But collecting rent, in my own opinion, collecting rent from your child is very abnormal for me, especially where I'm from. I can't imagine my dad come tell me, okay, maybe when I was 18, I'll be like, Mariah, you have to pay for it. I don't know. Like I'll just start laughing because it doesn't make sense. They can't. I don't know. The way African parents are, they won't. But I know in America it happens because I've seen people that collect rent from their brother, their mom, anybody that so far you're working, because over there rent is paid monthly, but here where I'm from, rent is paid yearly. So when you pay a particular year to the next year before you pay rent. So it's quite, manageable, even if you are not so rich, right? So we like all this bad parenting. For me, I'll call it bad parenting because it doesn't make sense in my head. I know, right? It doesn't make sense in my head. I feel like it's because I'm raised in Africa, so it doesn't make sense in my head. It doesn't how you collect rent from your child because they've turned a certain age and they're already working. I don't know. It doesn't make unless the child actually insists. Even if the child insists, let the child go and figure life out by themselves outside your home. So what if the child did not grow to that certain age, or what if your child died at age 17? Are you going to tell me that you won't continue paying your rent? You continue paying your rent. Okay, so why should you wait for your child to turn a certain age and you start collecting rent? What does that have to do with you progressing in life as a parent? So I call that bad parenting, and I see that it just shows that most parents don't plan for their future. Most parents don't plan for their children's future. In fact, some parents that are really actually want to have children, they've planned to have kids, they always have lay out plans for their children's future. They know, okay, when you turn 18, I'm going to give you so plot of land, I'm going to do this for you. You already had a car, you already have a business. Like they already have things figured out at a certain age for their kids. That's how it's supposed to be. Your child should not just go figure out things like that and start from a zero and not expect them when they now start making money later. They should put you as priority, and you're not entitled to that money. To be honest, you're not entitled to their success. If they say you're not going to give you money, so be it. If they're saying they're going to cut you off totally, they're going to cut you off. You're not entitled to it. And I feel like black parents are actually the ones that they feel so entitled to their children. They feel like, I brought you to this world. You should always appreciate me every day and night. You can't talk back at me. You can't tell me what to do. I cannot tell you, I cannot tell you I'm sorry. They are always very entitled to everything about you. They feel like they own your life because they are your parents, which doesn't make sense. Anyways, what is your take on this conversation? As I asked earlier, did this happen to you? Did your parent collect rent from you? Let me know down in the comment section. Let's have conversation in the comment section respectfully. Check out Mariah Davis, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye.